Welcome to Politics Unusual. I'm Morgan McKay. It's been a fast-moving week in politics, and if you're also feeling caught up in the whirlwind, don't worry, we're going to sort it all out together. But first, Mayor Eric Adams just a short time ago addressing rumors that he could be dropping out of the race.
Andrew Cuomo is a snake and a liar. I am in this race, and I'm the only one that can beat Mamdani.
So joining us now to help break down what has been a week is Chris Sommerfeldt with the New York Daily News and Jeff Coltin with Politico. Thank you guys for rushing from Mayor Adams' press conference with me down here to do this. So let's just kind of break this down chronologically. I think that's going to help all of us figure out what's going on here. So earlier this week, Mayor Eric Adams kind of avoiding these questions about whether or not he's going to be dropping out. Jeff, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, there was speculation and rumor flying all week because even though the mayor was saying, you know, that reporting is bad or don't believe it, it wasn't perfectly clear. And so, yes, the rumors were at first, you know, the mayor was, there were discussions with the White House about giving the mayor a job at Housing and Urban Development or an ambassador to Saudi Arabia, or just even ongoing discussions about what job in order to pull him out of the mayor's race and give him a soft landing by not being mayor next year. And today, he put that to rest, kind of. For now. It was very firm, but for now.
And I think, too, the reason that we can't put too much stake into what Eric Adams was saying today is because the goalposts keep moving. Like this Florida trip that he took earlier in the week, initially it was about a birthday celebration and a personal trip. Then all of a sudden today, just after a press conference, Todd Shapiro, the spokesman for Eric Adams' campaign, confirms that, in fact, he met with Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's Middle Eastern envoy. He didn't want to say what he spoke to Witkoff about, but per reporting in the New York Times, that was about a job opportunity in the Trump administration.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, Adams makes a surprise trip to Florida. No one really knew about it. Comes out that he met with White House officials and Witkoff, as you guys mentioned. And then just a short time later, the New York Times breaking and Politico also were confirming that potentially Adams is going to be offered a job, whether or not that's an ambassadorship with Saudi Arabia or something else. But President Donald Trump looking to get involved in the race. How, I guess, influential is Trump in this race?
It's such a complicated issue because Trump is wildly unpopular in New York. I mean, yes, he's the most powerful person in the world, but in New York, I mean, if he says he wants voters to do something, the majority of voters are going to be furious about that. They're not going to listen. So the fact that Trump came out and said, I would like to see a one-on-one contest. I would prefer to see, you know, Zoran Mamdani going against somebody. Today, he, I think, said more clearly, Andrew Cuomo. I mean, that's going to hurt Andrew Cuomo, you know. And so it's a complicated position of Trump wanting an outcome, and yet that probably hurting his goal of that outcome. And Mamdani's going to use it. I mean, Mamdani is all over this. He's saying Cuomo is Trump's candidate.
And I think we've even seen that from Cuomo himself. He's been conspicuously quiet all week. He hasn't really said much. And when he said something, it's, I don't want Donald Trump support. I don't want Trump in the race. And that's precisely for the reason that Jeff just pointed out. That's a big liability for Andrew Cuomo to be the Trump candidate.
And I just reached out to his campaign just a few moments ago to see if they had any more comments, and they said no comments. Now, Adams, in his comments today, we're going to break down some of his comments that he made. He's insisting that he's not going to drop out of the race. But I'm going to pick apart one part that he said, which he said, I'm not going to go to Washington, D.C. on Monday. What are your sources telling you, though, right now, Chris?
I'm hearing that there is in the works some sort of meeting. Unclear for now exactly when it's going to happen. What I was hearing was that it could happen as early as Monday. The mayor is now saying it's not happening Monday. He did not, however, say it's not happening at all next week.
Yes, and he was very specific about that. And it's hard to read between the lines with him sometimes with that. now kind of help also explain, he also was really critical of Cuomo, calling him a snake and a liar. He also brought up former Governor David Patterson. Help kind of break down the history with that.
Yes, so Eric Adams has been pushing this this narrative that Andrew Cuomo is racist, effectively, by always pushing black candidates out of races. He explained David Patterson. A lot of people blame Cuomo for making David Patterson not run for governor in 2010 to clear the way for Cuomo. He also tried to block Charlie King running for, I think it was governor previously, and Carl McCall in 2006. So there are data points here. Cuomo, of course, says, you know, he never did anything wrong, but Adams is picking up on this, and he's really using it to attack Cuomo and call him racist and call him a silver spoon in his mouth and a brat, along with Mamdani. I think he. Yeah. So this was a really aggressive press conference. You know, Adams was not only saying I'm in it to win it, he was also heavily criticizing Mamdani and Cuomo. Didn't mention Curtis Sliwa, who also is in the race. I should say Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa. There's another candidate in the race.
Yes.
And polling better than Eric Adams, by the way. Just going to point that out.
And who potentially President Trump wants to also push out of the race. We're going to get to him in a minute. But for Adams, why is it hard to believe him when he's saying, because his comments still, even though he's very insistent, he's still running, he still kind of just leaves this like little window open. Yeah. And if you look at the primary and what he said during the primary, Chris, you kind of alluded to it. Why is it hard to fully believe him when he says this?
Let's go back to the primary. Eric Adams was adamant that he was not going to drop out of the Democratic primary. And then what happened? He dropped out of the Democratic primary. So that's an example, I think, of how he can be very adamant about something and then still do the complete opposite. I think in terms of this scenario, we know so much already publicly about what's going on behind the scenes, the talks going on with Witkoff, the potential avenues for a job for Adams in the Trump administration, that I don't think we can fully trust the mayor when he says, I'm going to stay in this race, because we know there's so many ongoing conversations.
Right after the press conference, I had City Councilman Sean Abreu text me, and he said, I think Adams is doing this to negotiate for a better position with the Trump administration.
Not bad speculation.
And Abreu, to be fair, he has endorsed Mamdani, but this guy, I mean, he's a former Adams supporter, former Adams ally. A lot of people are like that. They've come fed up with Adams. I mean, he used to have quite a coalition. He was elected with huge numbers in 2021. Now we see him with historically bad poll numbers, polling at like 9% in the general. I mean, yeah, it's you know, there's no way he's winning a re-election. I mean, it's very low.
And he's saying he's not dropping out. Curtis Sliwa also saying he's not dropping out. We're out of time, though, so we're going to pause this there, but we are going to pick this back up. Thank you guys so much for being here today. And there's still so much to unpack in the race for mayor. Up next, we're going to have more on Mayor Adams and his vow to continue his bid for re-election, so don't go away.
This polo shirt that I'm wearing that says Eric Adams, Mayor of the City of New York, I'm going to wear that for another 4 years. We can't go backwards. We can't have a city that's filled with encampments like I inherited. We can't have a city where crime and guns are on our streets.
Mayor Eric Adams says he's not going to drop out of the race, but what are his chances for re-election, and what does President Donald Trump's involvement mean for Democratic leadership? Which is why we're bringing in our two next guests, Democratic strategists Trip Yang and Michael Lange. Thank you guys so much for being here. You know, we left off last time with the last group about Curtis Sliwa, so I just want to first pick it up there. Curtis Sliwa says he's not dropping out. How likely is it that he drops out?
I would say that Curtis Sliwa's chances of winning this election are slim to none. In terms of staying in this race, there is a good chance because Curtis Sliwa is not your traditional Republican. He's not a MAGA conservative. He's not beholden to Donald Trump, for better or for worse. As a Republican, he really marches to the beat of his own drum. And so he doesn't really have the same incentive structure that, say, Mayor Eric Adams has of dropping out.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump has been able to bend various institutions to his will. Basically, getting whatever he wants from universities, federal law enforcement, things of the sort. But Curtis Sliwa has survived assassination attempts from the mob, right? So he is not necessarily intimidated by someone like Donald Trump. I did think, though, that if Eric Adams had dropped out, the drumbeat on Curtis Sliwa over the next month and a half would have gotten quite loud. But with Adams in, it takes a lot of the spotlight off of Sliwa. So I don't really see a reason for him to leave, in the near term.
Let's talk about Adams' chances for re-election. Right now, he is last in the polls, 8%. Some people are saying, even if he does drop out of the race, where really is his electorate going? Is it going to Cuomo or is it going to Sliwa?
Look, I tried getting in touch with all 2 of Eric Adams' remaining supporters before I came on the show. I wasn't able to reach them. Look, there's a better chance of the New York Jets winning the Super Bowl this year than Eric Adams winning re-election.
Harsh.
It's not wrong, but look, in all seriousness, Eric Adams is the biggest troll in New York. He really kept us on the tip of our toes the entire day, and he really just used this press conference this afternoon to take more shots at Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani. He is an unreliable narrator, to say the least.
Could you guys almost see him staying in the race just to spite Andrew Cuomo?
I certainly could, although I would say that my reaction to his press conference today was that taking all these shots at Cuomo, it was basically, I saw it as a leverage tactic in terms of looking at someone like Donald Trump and being like, I will take down your candidate with me if I'm not given exactly what I want. So he could easily vow to stay in the race until the bitter end, and then there could be some type of an announcement next week.
It's remarkable that in local politics, oftentimes in this overwhelmingly Democratic city, that the biggest rivalries are not based on ideology or on policy differences. It's really based on personality differences. Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo have been in a political male measuring contest for the last year. They have really, really gone under each other's skin. There seems to be a real dislike from Eric Adams to Andrew Cuomo. It's probably reciprocated. That seems to be deeper than his dislike of Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah, a little personal. Now, looking at the Democratic leadership right now, they are put in a really tough spot at this moment. President Donald Trump kind of putting them in a corner. They haven't, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, they're not endorsing Mamdani yet, but they're almost kind of put in this corner. You were kind of tweeting about it the other day. Do you want to explain more?
I think Donald Trump is kind of, as you said, putting the Democratic establishment in a corner, whereas if he really is able to force some of these candidates out and kind of anoint Andrew Cuomo as his candidate, as the anti-Mamdani candidate, if you're Democratic leadership, you almost reflexively have to then support Zohran Mamdani, or you risk really igniting a civil war within the party, demobilizing and demoralizing the base. And I think Representative Ocasio-Cortez, she gave remarks outside the Capitol the other day basically saying just that it sets a very interesting precedent going forward in the party.
Yeah.
What I would say is that, and I don't wish to speak for any of these leaders in the Democratic Party, but now that the contest is really between Zohran Mamdani and Donald Trump's coattails, the argument, the political cover is much stronger for Democratic leadership to now endorse the Democratic nominee, because everyone who is a Democrat in New York City hates Donald Trump.
And it's not that they're just not endorsing him. They're staying silent right now, which I found a little surprising. I mean, President Trump weighing into a New York City mayoral election, and the Democratic leadership has nothing to say about that. That was very surprising to me to see, Jeffries saying yesterday that, downplaying Trump's involvement and his influence in New York City, saying, well, he can't have influence. He doesn't have that much influence in New York City.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to make this problem go away, or hope it goes away, or run out the clock and then not have to worry about it. But the thing about Donald Trump is that he's not going away. And for as much as there was a climactic build towards the mayor's press conference today, I don't anticipate that these questions about his future in the race or Trump's pressure on the campaigns and whatnot are going to go away anytime soon.
I don't disagree with either of you two. However, I'd say there's some nuance here. When Donald Trump has attacked Zohran Mamdani, the xenophobia, the Islamophobia, it's actually Governor Hochul and Leader Hakeem Jeffries that immediately came to Zohran's defense.
Yes.
And so sometimes with Democratic leadership, and you have a relatively young assembly member, it takes time to get to know each other. Now, Donald Trump weighing in this race as heavily as Donald Trump is doing right now, it makes it inevitable that Democratic leadership has to comment more on this. But there is a lot of nuances here.
Yeah. And they're so hesitant to endorse him because of his democratic socialism stances. I guess, why are they just really trying to push him more away? I mean, what about the democratic socialists? I mean, they've accepted AOC a little bit more into the fold.
I'll say this. Politics is very, very complicated, especially in a city and a state that is overwhelmingly Democrat, as we are. However, national politics is often a 50-50 fight for Congress every 2 years, for the U.S. Senate, for the White House, etc. And so a lot of times it is a reflection of your perspective. I personally think that if you run a populist, authentic, charismatic candidate with a disciplined focus on affordability, whatever top issue that voters in a district care about, you're going to have success. But some Democrats are going to feel that anyone tied to DSA, to socialism, is really an anchor in swing districts. It is really a perspective issue.
And they really want to just push them away, at least as much as possible right now. But Jeffries says that he is still considering, he says, stay tuned. I think the stay tuned phrase is losing its meaning. And then, Schumer keeps saying that he's going to meet with him soon. We're out of time, though. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And we're going to have you guys back on soon with all of this mess, hecticness.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Coming up next, school is back in session. We're taking the pulse of the people on whether public schools should require students to wear uniforms to class. Students in New Jersey returned to school this week, but some parents in the city of Linden aren't happy about a new dress code policy that just went into effect. They claim purchasing the new clothes, especially for families with multiple children, is a financial burden. The school district is working to assist those who can't afford the new uniforms. We asked Garden State residents what they thought about mandatory uniforms in public schools.
I think it's a great idea. When I was in school, I would hate to pick out my outfit, so it would be, less stressful in the morning if you have a school uniform.
I think sometimes it becomes a hindrance in focusing on what's important, which is there to learn and on our education, not so much on how we're looking in our social status.
Public schools, you're able to express yourself wearing whatever you like, where the private schools were more, you have to wear, there's a place for both. But I believe private schools should have uniforms and public schools shouldn't.
Now to New York. A new bill is being proposed that would allow New Yorkers to buy pepper spray more easily. State Senator Jessica Scarcella-Spanton, a Democrat from Staten Island, introduced the legislation. Right now, pepper spray is legal, but strict rules limit how it can be sold and shipped. The senator says she wants people, especially women, to feel safe and have a non-lethal option to deter crime. Here's what New Yorkers are saying.
A great question. I think that we as New Yorkers need to be aware of our surroundings and, do what we need to do to keep ourselves safe and our kids safe.
I'm afraid to walk out at night. So if I'm able to get pepper spray, I think I would be more flexible about moving around. So I think it would be a great idea.
Yes, it should be available. I think, with training, as long as you're kept, up to speed on how to use it and use it safely, I think we need to take care of ourselves.
And we'll continue to check in with people across our area. Next up, we're going to test your knowledge of the tri-state region, so stay with us as we take a look at some political history. Now, we're flashing back to this week in history. On September 1st, 1984, New York City's original 212 area code was split to prevent number exhaustion. As a result, Manhattan retained 212, and Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island were assigned the new 718 area code. The split led to protests from officials in the outer boroughs who argued it would divide the city and stigmatize their communities. Finally, it's our favorite part, time to test your knowledge on some historical facts from across our area. Last week, we asked you, what year was the iconic Wyckoff House built? The answer, 1652. That's when the original portion of the Wyckoff House was built, and making it the oldest structure in New York City and state. The house serves as a National Historic Landmark and a museum preserving Dutch colonial history. Now, to this week's question, which also focuses on a national landmark. What is the oldest tavern in New York City? Now, don't Google the answer, but if you want to take a shot at it, go ahead and scan the code that might be popping up on your screen here. It's going to take you to our website, fox5ny.com, where you can type in your answer, then check back here to see if you're right. That does it for this episode of Politics Unusual. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Morgan McKay. Remember, you can stream Battleground NYC to fight for your vote live on the Fox Local app right now or anytime on demand. Have a safe night. Extras up next.